Today, we're digging into Solana, one of the most talked about projects in crypto, and for good reason. It was built with this incredibly bold goal, to be fast enough for the entire world to use at once. But as we're going to see, that insane speed created this constant battle between raw performance and just staying online. This is the question that started it all. Solana's founder, Anatoly Yakovenko, looked at the early blockchains and saw something amazing, but also something incredibly slow. For crypto to ever really go mainstream, for things like global payments or huge online games to work, it needed a network that could actually keep up with the real world. And this chart just lays it all out, doesn't it? I mean, look at these numbers. You've got Bitcoin chugging along at maybe 7 transactions a second, Ethereum a bit better, around 25, and then you have Solana with a theoretical limit of over 65,000. We're not talking about a small step up. This was aiming for a completely different league of performance. So why all the fuss? Why this obsession with speed? Let's break down exactly what problem Solana was trying to solve. Okay, this is a perfect way to think about it. Older blockchains process transactions one by one in a single line. It's like a supermarket with only one cashier open. As soon as it gets busy, that line gets super long and everything slows to a crawl. But for mass adoption, you need 10 cashiers, or even more, all running at the same time. And once you have that kind of speed, a whole new world of applications opens up, things that were just impossible before. We're talking about high-frequency trading on decentralized exchanges, NFT drops where thousands of people are trying to buy at the exact same second, or complex blockchain games where every single move is its own tiny transaction. All of that needs a network that doesn't just break. So how on earth did Solana pull off this massive performance jump? Well, it wasn't just one magic trick. It was a whole suite of really clever innovations working together. Let's pop the hood and take a look. The first, and definitely the most famous, is something called proof of history. Now, this isn't a consensus mechanism like proof of stake. Think of it more like a super fast, provable cryptographic clock. It timestamps everything that happens on the network. This means all the validators don't have to waste time arguing about what order transactions happened in. They just know, and that alone is a huge game changer for speed. All right, so that's one piece of the puzzle. The next big idea was getting away from that single file line approach of processing transactions one at a time. That's a classic bottleneck. Solana's team asked, what if we could process a bunch of transactions that don't conflict with each other all at the same time? And that's exactly what Sealevel does. It's Solana's engine for parallel processing. To go back to our supermarket analogy, this is what opens up all the other checkout lanes. So if I'm sending you some Sol and someone else is buying an NFT, those two things have nothing to do with each other. Sealevel lets the network handle both of them at the exact same moment, which just massively boosts how much can get done. So when you combine proof of history's timekeeping with Sealevel's parallel processing, what you get is a network that was designed from day one for one single purpose, to handle the massive scale needed for everyone in the world to start using it. But, and there's always a but, right? This is where the story takes a sharp turn. Because building a rocket ship is one thing. Making sure it doesn't blow up on the launch pad is something else entirely. All that speed brought on a whole new set of problems. And this quote just nails it. The very things that made Solana so incredibly fast also made it incredibly complex. It became this finely tuned machine that, under certain kinds of stress, was actually pretty fragile. And the proof is right here in this timeline. A huge network halt in September 2021, another big one in 2022 thanks to NFT bots, and then more outages in 2023 and even early 2024. This wasn't a fluke. It started to look like a pattern, and it made people ask some really tough questions about whether the network was truly reliable. And that first major outage, it lasted for 17 hours. 17 hours. For a blockchain that aims to be the foundation for global finance and gaming, 17 hours offline is an eternity. It freezes billions in assets, it halts applications, and maybe worst of all, it really shakes people's confidence. So what was actually going wrong? Well, it was often this perfect storm. Because the transaction fees were so cheap, it was easy for bots to just flood the network with spam. That massive fire hose of traffic, whether it was spam or just a really popular NFT mint, would overwhelm the computers running the network, the validators, causing them to run out of memory and just stall. The whole thing would just grind to a halt. But here's the thing about failure.
It's a great teacher. This story doesn't end with outages. The entire Solana community has been working like crazy to fix these core problems and build a much tougher, more resilient network.
So let's look closer at that spam problem. Those super low fees, which were supposed to be a huge selling point, actually became a massive vulnerability. During a popular NFT drop, bots could send millions of transactions for next to nothing. This flood would drown out the really important messages that validators need to send to each other, effectively clogging the network's arteries. So how do you fix that? Simple. You make spam expensive. The solution has been to build a smarter fee market. First, with priority fees, you can choose to pay a little extra to jump the line. But the real game changer is localized fee markets. This means that a traffic jam in one app, like a hot new game, doesn't bring the entire network highway to a standstill anymore. But there was another, maybe even bigger problem lurking under the surface: software concentration. For a long time, pretty much every validator was running the exact same software. This created a giant single point of failure. A single bug in that one program could, and did, take down the whole network. And this right here is probably the most important fix of them all: client diversity. The launch of FireDancer, a brand new validator client built from the ground up by a totally separate team, is a massive leap forward for stability. It's like having multiple, independently designed engines on an airplane. If there's a bug in one, the others can keep the plane in the air. Which brings us all the way back to the big question. Solana's journey from being this speed-obsessed challenger to a network now laser-focused on resilience is a huge case study for the entire crypto world. It forces us to ask, can you really have it all? Can a blockchain be blazing fast, scale to billions of users, and be rock-solid reliable all at the same time? Solana is betting everything that it can. But the final answer? Well, that's still being written, one block at a time.